You are here, in your bed, or perhaps on a couch, or maybe walking softly through the end of your day. You let your shoulders fall. You let your eyes grow heavy. Around you, the room is quiet and the world asks for nothing. Only stillness, only breath. Tonight we drift far back, to a time before nations, before kings, before writing, to a time when even the word human was too narrow to hold all the kinds of us who once walked. The forgotten cousins, the other versions of what we might have been. You don't need to stay awake for all of this. The story will go on, even if you slip into dreams. When you wake, history. So let me ask, what does it mean to be the last of your kind? To know that once there were many human voices, and now only one remains. No pressure. You don't need to answer right now. You may, after all, fall asleep before the question finishes echoing. If quiet history like this helps you rest or wander, consider subscribing. It lets this small corner of calm keep growing. And if you're still awake, share your time and place below. I'd love to know who's listening tonight. So breathe, close your eyes, and follow me into the deep dawn of many human lines. You walk into a world without words. It is not empty, though it is quieter than the one you know. No hum of cities, no rumble of machines. The sound here is wind, carrying across plains, the crunch of grass beneath bare feet, the slow groan of rivers, carving stone. 3 million years ago, Africa holds a gathering of beginnings. You move through its valleys, where the earth has cracked open in long rifts, the bones of the planet exposed to sun and time. Here the ground steams with volcanic breath, and lakes glimmer in blue bisons. It is a land of change, geology reshaping itself, and with it life learning to adapt. You stand at the edge of a savanna, grasses high, swaying like a restless sea. Beyond them, scattered trees rise, holding shade and fruit. In the distance, mountains lift their shoulders into the sky, and somewhere among the grasses, upright figures move, not quite like you, not quite unlike you. You watch them step carefully, scanning horizon and earth alike. Their arms are long, their faces jut forward, with jaws strong enough to crack what teeth must. But they balance on 2 legs. They walk upright. This is new. This is the slow invention of a different kind of life. Australopithecus, they will one day be called, but for now, they are simply themselves. You watch them cross between shadow and light. The sun leans hot against their backs. They move with caution, aware that predators slip easily in tall grass. Leopards, saber-toothed cats, hyenas stronger than you have ever known. To walk upright is to see further, but also to be seen. It is a trade height for danger, vision for exposure. One female pauses, a child clinging to her side. She plucks fruit from a low branch, splits it with her teeth, and offers the softer part to the small mouth beside her. There is tenderness here, and survival mixed. You feel it quietly, the recognition that family is as old as fear. The days pass in sun and shadow, in hunger and finding. These beings do not yet shape stone into tools. They use what they find, sticks for digging, rocks for cracking, the beginnings of intention but not yet the shaping of worlds. Still, they are something new. You move further with them. You crouch where they crouch. You hear what they hear. A rustle in the grass draws their heads. Silence falls. The air grows taut. Then movement. A leopard springs. Spotted hide flashing. The group scatters, cries sharp. Legs pumping. The mother clutches her child and runs. Upright. Always upright. It is not speed that saves them, but vision. To see the leap. To sense the path. To climb quickly into the low branches of a thorn tree and cling there until the danger moves on. You sit with them in branches, hearts pounding in rhythm. Above, The sky pours out its endless blue. Below, the predator stalks, then gives up. The savanna settles back into its hum. Breath slows. Life continues. You notice how their feet grip the bark, half tree, half ground, still remembering an earlier life of climbing. They are creatures between worlds, part forest, part plain, carrying in their bodies the memory of both. The seasons shift. Rains fall heavy, filling rivers that cut the valley. Droughts follow, pulling the earth into cracks. Each shift demands change. To survive here is to be flexible, to stand upright not just in body but in the willingness to endure. You drift closer to one figure, a male perhaps, though the lines between male and female blur in this ancient gaze. He kneels near a riverbank, stone in hand. He strikes it against another, casually, not yet with the practiced intent of later humans. The sound rings. Chips fall. He does not yet realize what waits in that gesture, but you can almost see it, waiting like a seed under soil. The sun sets. The air cools. They gather in a small group, pressed close for warmth. There is no fire, not yet, only the shared heat of bodies. You feel it, the old simple truth that warmth is survival, that to be human, or almost human, is to be together in the cold. Night comes heavy, the stars blaze, unfamiliar but endless. You lie among them, shoulder to shoulder, and wonder what thoughts move in those ancient skulls. Are there dreams? Is there fear of the dark? Or only the soft rhythm of rest? The body letting go into sleep as predators prowl unseen. Morning returns. Always morning. They rise, stretch, wander again through tall grass. They know the paths to water. They know which trees fruit in which season. Knowledge does not live in words but in bodies, in memory passed through watching. Children see, and so they learn. You walk with them for days, then months, then years. The world remains wide, population small, valleys echo with calls of birds, of primates in trees, of beasts across the plain. Here in this narrow crack of earth, something is unfolding, a line of beings beginning to step into new shape. They do not know themselves as a species. They do not need to. They only live. But later, you will give them names. Australopithecus afarensis, Australopithecus africanus. You will find bones in dry riverbeds, teeth fossilized in stone. You will puzzle over the angles of hips, the slope of skulls, and you will recognize this is where uprightness began. One day, you crouch beside a skeleton half buried in soil. The bones are fragile, small, a female. You feel a hush, knowing this will one day be called Lucy. She lived and walked here more than 3 million years ago. She carried the line forward. She is gone, but she remains. You close your eyes. You let the sound of wind over grass settle around you. You remember that history is not only palaces and empires, but bodies moving through grass, slowly learning to stand. And as you rest here, you sense the others already waiting, just beyond the horizon. New branches of the tree, new kinds of human. They wait, patient, in the soil of time. The dawn of many human lines has only just begun. You move forward through the Rift Valley, carried by time itself, and the beings around you shift. Their bodies lengthen, their foreheads rise a little higher, their hands grow more deliberate. The earth is still the same, volcanoes coughing smoke, lakes shining like coins in the hollowed land, grasses bowing in wind, but the figures who walk it are changing. They are no longer only upright walkers, they are makers. You crouch in the shade of an acacia tree, watching a group gather around a cluster of stones near a dry riverbed. The air is hot, the kind of heat that presses against your skin and slows your breath. Dust clings to your arms, insects drone, and among it all, a figure squats, stone in hand, striking one rock against another. Sparks do not come, not yet, but something else does. A shard breaks free, thin, sharp, gleaming in the sun. The figure pauses, turning it in his hand, testing the edge against his thumb. He grunts softly, not in triumph, not in language as you know it, but in recognition. He has made something different from what was there before. A tool, a beginning. This is Homo habilis, handy human, though he does not call himself that. His brain is larger than Australopithecus, his face a little less jutting, his movements more deliberate. He is not you, but he is nearer to you than those before. He is the one who begins to shape the world. You watch as he uses the flake to scrape bark from a branch. The sound is small but steady, a rasp of stone on wood. Others gather, curious. A female leans forward, reaching for the tool. She presses it against a root, shaving thin curls that fall into her lap. She smiles, or perhaps only bares her teeth. But the movement holds satisfaction. A stick has become more than a stick. A stone has become more than a stone. The sun lowers, shadows stretch. They carry the flakes with them, crude edges, wrapped in leaves or held in fists. Around their hollow that night, they test them further. One figure presses a flake against the marrow-rich leg bone of an antelope left by lions. The edge bites, clumsy but effective, carving strips of meat still clinging. They chew, swallow, feed children with scraps. They crack the bone itself against a larger stone, splintering it open, scooping marrow with sharp flakes. The taste is rich, dense, filling. Energy like this means survival. The flakes are crude, but they change everything. You kneel among them as they eat. Fat glistens on lips. Children squirm, reaching for morsels. The smell of marrow is heavy, metallic, strong. You realize this is not only food, this is memory etched into bodies. The memory that tools unlock what teeth cannot, that stone in hand can extend the body's reach. Days pass, they refine nothing quickly. Each tool is rough, irregular, edges jagged, but even roughness is enough. They use flakes to cut plants, to scrape hides, to dig roots. Slowly their hands learn. Slowly their minds shift. To break stone is to break the barrier between what is and what might be. You follow them as they wander, small bands tracing paths through grass and woodland. Their world is full of dangers. Lions crouch, hyenas circle, crocodiles wait. But tools give them slivers of advantage. Not dominance, not yet, but an edge. Literally an edge. At a waterhole, you see a group crouched beside a carcass of zebra, abandoned by predators. Vultures circle overhead, their wings beating the air in impatient hunger. Flies swarm. The smell is thick, sour and sweet. The abilins drive the birds back with shouts and waving arms. They fall upon the carcass, flakes in hand, cutting quickly before hyenas return. Strips of meat are pulled free, chewed raw, swallowed in haste. Hands move, mouths move, eyes scan the horizon. Danger never leaves, but for a brief moment, they are something more than scavengers. They are carvers. They take what once was denied. As you watch them, you sense the beginning of another change, not only in their hands, but in their minds. A flake made once can be carried, can be imagined, can be used later. Memory is stretched forward. The tool is not only present, it is future. The mind reaches ahead, holds possibility. Night comes. They sit close together, as always. No fire to warm them, only the press of bodies. But tonight stones lie beside them, edges gleaming faintly in moonlight. They sleep with tools in hand. They sleep with the future at their side. The seasons turn. Rain falls, rivers flood, grass grows high, then dies back to dust. Through it all, Habilis walks. They are not many, perhaps only scattered bands across wide valleys, but they leave traces, flakes, bones, scars on stone. You see them dropped along paths, half buried in soil, waiting for someone, long after, to find and understand. You crouch at one such scatter, hands brushing dust from a cluster of flakes. You know that in your time these will be called the Oldowan industry, the earliest toolkit of humanity. Simple cores, simple flakes, simple strikes. Yet from such simplicity flows everything: spearheads, axes, ploughs, engines, screens glowing in darkness. All of it rooted here. In the first moment, a stone became something more than stone. You rise and follow them further. Their bodies are small compared to yours, but their endurance is vast. They walk long distances, scanning for water, for game, for safety. Children cling to backs or toddle alongside, learning by mimicry. You watch one child pick up a pebble, strike it against another, grin at the chip it makes. Play and survival blur. Practice becomes invention. One afternoon, you sit with them near a baobab tree. The trunk is wide, gnarled, carved by centuries of storms. Beneath it, Habilis rests, tools scattered at their feet. They chew roots, share fruit, scrape hides. The air is still, the shade deep. For a moment, there is peace. You notice how they lean against each other, how they murmur soft sounds, not quite words, not quite silence. Language is not yet born, but the seeds are here in the rhythm of calls, the rise and fall of tones, the shaping of meaning beyond gesture. As the sun falls, you feel time itself pressing forward. You sense that Habilis will not last forever. In a few 100,000 years they will give way to others, larger-brained, more skilled, more restless. But tonight, they are here, alive, enduring, shaping stone in ways no creature has before. You lie among them as stars emerge, as the valley darkens, as predators call in the night. You hear the rasp of insects, the distant roar of lions, the soft breathing of children curled into sleep. A flake lies beside you, cool against your skin, its edge sharp, even in the dark. You turn it in your hand, marveling at its simplicity, its power, its promise. The world has shifted. A line has been crossed. From this moment on, humanity is not only what the body can do, but what the mind can shape. And so the night deepens, and so the story goes on. You drift deeper into the Rift Valley, the earth itself stretched and opened like an ancient scar. Volcanic peaks line the horizon, their sides breathing steam, their slopes scarred with rivers of hardened black. Lakes lie in long blue mirrors, and between them spread savannas, woodlands, and wetlands, stitched together into a living mosaic. The ground beneath your feet is restless. Tectonic plates tug and shift, splitting the continent into valleys that will one day shape migration routes. The air here tastes of dust, sharp when the rains are late, sweet with rot when the floods return. You hear the croak of frogs in seasonal pools, you hear the low boom of thunder over distant hills, and always there is movement. Antelope weaving in lines across the grass, elephants grinding down trees, flocks of ibis lifting in sudden waves of white. Among these lives, you see figures upright and cautious. They are not yet human, though they carry human promise. Their arms still long enough to swing in trees, but their pelvises reshaped, hips widened to hold the weight of walking. Their footprints press into soft volcanic ash, and when you place your own feet beside them, the similarity makes you pause, not the same, but close. You remember those prints in Laetoli, 2 adults, and a smaller one, stepping across fresh ash hardened by the sun. Rain once fell upon them, and then time itself sealed them like a signature. 3 million years later, you stand here, watching the steps before they were buried. You notice how the stride is steady, upright, one foot placed before the other, with quiet certainty, a family walking perhaps, or simply beings moving through their day. You imagine their breathing, their glances, their pauses to listen for predators hidden in tall grass. The Rift Valley is not safe. Crocodiles wait at the water's edge, lions hunt in shadows, saber-toothed cats crouch in ambush. The Australopithecines are never far from danger. Their teeth and jaws are strong, but they are not hunters of beasts this large. Instead, they scavenge, they forage, they gather. Tubers pulled from soil, seeds crushed in teeth, fruits reached for with careful hands, sometimes, perhaps, marrow sucked from bones left by greater predators. They live by opportunism, not domination. You follow one female as she moves along the edge of a lake. Her eyes scan the shoreline, watching for crocodile jaws that break the water's skin. She carries nothing but her body, yet her body remembers. She bends to pick up a stick, strips off its bark with her teeth, and pokes it into a hole where termites seethe. She shakes the stick, licking at the moving bodies clinging there. This is not yet invention. It is observation, trial, the beginning of thought-shaping matter. The sun leans overhead, heavy and white. The heat presses against skin, sweat gathering, trickling, cooling as it dries. She seeks shade under an acacia. Her child, clinging to her hip, squirms and cries until she sets him down. He toddles on unsteady legs, hands reaching for fallen pods. He puts one to his mouth, bites, grimaces, drops it. The lesson is learned. His mother watches with quiet patience. To survive here is not only to move, but to remember. Memory is survival's earliest language. You walk further into the valley, through tall grasses and thorn thickets. You smell the sharp tang of wild onions crushed underfoot. You hear the sudden crack of branches as a group of baboons explodes from cover, alarmed by your presence. The Australopithecines pause, watching them scatter. For a moment, both species mirror one another, upright, wary, families clustered together in fear of the unknown. At dusk, they find a hollow near a cliffside where rocks shield them on one side. They gather there, tucking children close, adults forming a loose ring. They do not build shelters, not yet. Their safety lies in togetherness, in numbers, in eyes that scan the dark for gleam of predator. Night falls quickly. The sky burns orange, then purple, then black. Stars reveal themselves, brighter than you will ever see them in your modern life. The air cools, breath clouds. They huddle, pressing side against side. No fire glows here, only moonlight and silence, broken by the cough of a lion not far away. You feel the weight of night on these bodies. Fear mixes with fatigue. Sleep is not gentle. It is interrupted, restless, ears straining even in dreams. Yet still they endure. Each morning they wake. Each day they rise. Their persistence is their triumph. You notice how their hands rest, palms rough, fingers long, thumbs not yet fully skilled but already capable of grasping. You imagine the future folded inside those hands, the hands that will one day strike stone, shape spears, paint caves, write names. But here they only hold fruit, only press against earth, only clutch children tight. Rain season comes. Storms burst over the valley. Rivers swell, muddy and loud. The air grows heavy with the smell of wet grass and rotting vegetation. Food shifts, berries fatten, roots soften, insects crawl in abundance. The Australopithecines adapt. They move with seasons, tracking food the way water tracks stone. They do not wander far, their world is local, but wide enough to hold danger and promise alike. You sit with them as one male cracks nuts between his teeth, spits the shells, and chews the rich meat inside. You watch another pry open a fallen log, scooping beetle larvae with careful fingers. Nothing is wasted here. Every source of energy matters. Yet you also feel their fragility. A twisted ankle, an infection, a predator's strike. Each can end a life quickly. There are no medicines, no spears, no safe walls. Only chance, only resilience. To live long enough to raise a child is itself victory. One afternoon, you follow them toward a ridge of basalt, sharp black against the sky. The ground is strewn with stones. The young adult squats, picks one up, bangs it against another. Chips scatter. He frowns, fiddles, then tosses it aside. He has not yet found the meaning of flakes, but he is close. Within a few 100,000 years, his descendants will discover that a sharp edge can cut meat, scrape hides, dig soil. The possibility lies waiting in these stones, like a secret in plain sight. You crouch beside him, watching his face, the lines of concentration across his brow. Thought itself is visible here, raw and unrefined. He knows the world can be shaped. He does not yet know how. Evening settles again. The valley fills with the cries of animals seeking water. Hippopotamus groan in pools. Birds flock overhead, wings darkening the sky. The Australopithecines climb low branches, bedding themselves where predators struggle to reach. They tuck children close, arms encircling, eyes heavy. You climb with them, bark rough beneath your palms. Together you rest, swaying with the wind, staring out at stars endless and near. As you lie there, you realize these beings do not know they are at the beginning of a lineage. They do not know they will one day be studied, their bones named, their teeth measured, their pelvises compared in museums. They do not know they are ancestors to something vast. They only know hunger, shade, movement, danger, touch. That is enough. The Rift Valley whispers on, its earth shifting underfoot. Volcanoes erupt, spreading ash that buries footprints. Rivers carve deeper paths, splitting habitats. Life adjusts, adapts, shifts. Some Australopithecines vanish, others endure, changing subtly over millennia. Hips widening, jaws altering, brains slowly expanding. Evolution is patient, like the night sky. It waits, it repeats, it lets the world decide who stays and who is lost. You breathe with them, you blink with them, you carry their silence, and in the stillness, you feel the weight of deep time pressing gently against your chest. The Rift Valley holds you as it has held so many before. Its grasses sway, its waters glimmer, its sky drifts from dusk to dawn, and always, among it all, figures walk upright, fragile and enduring, carrying the first quiet spark of what it means to be human. Time carries you onward again, and the beings you walk among change. Their bodies grow taller, leaner, their limbs shaped for distance, their skulls larger, their brows heavy, their faces long, their stride is confident, their hands grip stone with skill. These are no longer the small, tentative makers of flakes. These are travelers, these are wanderers, these are Homo erectus. You walk beside them on open ground, the Rift Valley stretching wide behind, but the horizon ahead even wider. They are no longer bound to one place. Their legs are made for the road. You feel it in their pace, steady and unhurried, meant not for sprints, but for journeys that stretch across years, across landscapes, across continents. The air is different now, drier. The grasses stretch farther. Herds of antelope and zebra thunder past, kicking dust into clouds that sting the eyes. You hear elephants trumpet in the distance, rhinoceroses snorting, predators stalking, but the erectus bands do not shrink back. They move forward, stone tools at their sides, fire flickering in their memory. One evening, you see them gather near a riverside. They squat in a circle, stones between their knees, striking with practiced rhythm, Chips scatter, edges sharpen, the flakes are no longer crude. They are shaped, deliberate, balanced. Hand axes emerge, teardrop-shaped, symmetrical, their edges finely honed. They turn them in their hands, testing weight, testing sharpness, testing potential. This is Achillean, the next great step in the long line of stone. A young male lifts his new axe high, grins, and slices it into the leg of a carcass. The cut is smooth, clean. Others watch, nodding, then set to their own work. The air fills with the sound of scraping, cutting, splitting. Meat is freed, hides stripped, marrow cracked. The group eats, satisfied, tools still gleaming in fading light. You notice something more. They do not abandon these tools at once. They carry them. They keep them. They understand that a tool is not only for the moment, but for the future. A hand axe can last days, weeks, months. It is a companion on the journey. The journey itself stretches far. Out of Africa they go, slowly, in waves invisible to themselves. North through valleys, east across deserts, into lands no human has yet seen. You follow them through Sinai, into the vast sweep of Asia. The air grows cooler, the forests denser, the prey unfamiliar, yet they adapt. Always they adapt. In Java you find them beside volcanic slopes, chipping tools from basalt, hunting deer in thick forests. The air is heavy, damp, full of the cries of tropical birds. They build shelters of branches, rough but steady. They gather around small fires. Yes, fire now, its smoke curling upward, its warmth holding back the night. You feel the difference fire makes. Predators hesitate, insects retreat, food softens in flame, warmth seeps into bones. Stories, though wordless, linger in the glow. In China, you walk with them through caves where smoke stains the ceiling black. Ash scatters across the ground, bones litter the floor. They roast meat, they break bones, they leave behind layers of life pressed into soil. In your own time, you will name these places Jokudian, but here they are only home. In Europe, you follow them through forests of oak and pine, air crisp with cold, winters bite hard, snow covers the ground. They wrap themselves in hides, crude but protective, and huddle closer to fires that flicker against cave walls. Their faces glow red in the light, their shadows stretch long, the flames crackle, sparks drift upward, and you feel the old comfort, warmth, light, togetherness. You notice how their eyes gleam in firelight, how their hands gesture, how their sounds grow more complex. Not language yet, not as you know it, but rhythms of meaning, calls that carry across distance, signals that warn, sounds that soothe. Communication deepens, memory strengthens. They do not live only in the present moment. They remember hunts, they anticipate seasons, they plan. One dawn, you walk with them onto a plain where elephants graze. They gather in silence, crouched low, hand axes gripped tight. They move as one, circling, shouting, throwing stones. The herd scatters. One elephant stumbles, injured, slowed. They swarm, cutting, striking, working together. The kill is long, dangerous, desperate. But in the end, they succeed. The carcass lies heavy, food enough for many days. Tools slice hide, strip meat, break bones. Fire roasts flesh, softens fat, fills the air with smoke and scent. The band feasts, bellies full, laughter, if laughter it can be called, echoing across the plain. You sit with them, chewing roasted meat, feeling warmth in the gut. You realize this is not just survival, this is triumph. For the first time, humans, almost humans, have turned from scavengers into hunters, from the chased into the chasers. The balance tilts. just slightly, but enough to change the world. Night after night you travel with them. Their camps shift, their tools scatter, their fires rise and fall. Children grow, learn to strike stone, to keep embers alive, to follow tracks in dust. Knowledge passes not by words, but by watching, by doing, by remembering, and so culture begins. Not written, not spoken, but lived. The landscapes shift. In Africa, erectus bands still roam the rift. In Asia, they climb through bamboo forests. In Europe, they huddle in caves against ice. Across continents, separated by vast distances, they remain the same species, one wide, enduring wave of humanity before humanity itself is defined. You pause in a cave in Georgia, where bones of an old male lie. His teeth are worn, many missing, yet he lived long, longer than teeth alone would have allowed. You realize others must have fed him, chewed food for him, cared for him. Compassion, too, is old. Not a modern invention, but something rooted deep in time, when survival itself depended on care. You follow them further still. Their tools become more refined, their fire more constant, their journeys more daring. They cross rivers, mountains, deserts. They leave footprints across the old world. For nearly 2 million years, they endure, longer than your species has yet existed, longer than kingdoms, longer than empires, longer than memory itself. As you lie by their fire one night, listening to the crackle of wood, the soft breathing of sleepers around you, the sigh of wind beyond the cave, you understand they do not know they are pioneers. They do not know they are the first to step across continents. They only live day by day, meal by meal, fire by fire. Yet in living they open the world. The flames sink lower, the night grows colder. You draw closer, pulling a hide around your shoulders. Above, stars burn, vast and silent. The earth waits, carrying them forward, carrying you forward, carrying the story ever onward. And so the road of humanity stretches, out of Africa, into the world, step by step, fire by fire, stone by stone. You move eastward, carried by the same current of time that bore Homo erectus across continents. The forests deepen, the mountains rise higher, and the air thins until each breath feels like glass entering your lungs. You are in Asia now, in ranges so vast they seem to hold the sky itself. The world here is colder, harsher, and yet life endures, and among the caves and high plateaus, you sense a presence, human, but not quite the human you know. You step into the mouth of a cave, its air cool and damp, smelling of earth and stone. Darkness spreads inside, swallowing light. Your feet crunch on gravel. Somewhere, water drips, steady as a heartbeat. This is Denisova, a place hidden in the Altai Mountains of Siberia, where snow drapes the pines and wolves call in the night. You see figures moving in the dim firelight, broad-bodied, strong-jawed, adapted to the thin air of high places. They are Denisovans, kin to Neanderthals, kin to you, yet different all the same. You sit with them around a hearth of glowing coals. Smoke rises and twists against the stone ceiling. Their faces glow in the flicker, shadows carving deep into brows and cheekbones. Their hands are large, deft, turning stone, bone, ivory into tools. You notice a bracelet, carved from green chlorite, its surface polished smooth, a tiny drilled hole precise and delicate. This is not crude survival. This is craft. This is art before art has a name. Outside, the wind howls down from the mountains, carrying ice against the cave mouth. But inside, warmth gathers. The fire burns steady, fed by wood dragged in from valleys below. Skins line the floor, thick and soft, insulating against stone's chill. Children huddle against mothers, their breath fogging in the cold. The Denisovans endure here, in places many would call uninhabitable. You walk with them when the sun rises pale and weak, barely piercing the mountain mist. They move in small bands, following rivers where fish gleam silver beneath the surface, stalking deer that wander the alpine meadows, watching carefully for cave lions and bears. Their strides are confident, steady. The thin air does not slow them. It belongs to them, written into their blood. Even in your time, people of Tibet and the Himalayas will carry their genes, a memory of these highland dwellers, etched in living bodies. At midday you pause with them by a riverbank. One male crouches, lifts a stone blade, and scrapes at the hide of a goat brought down earlier. The sound is soft but steady, rasp on flesh. Others cut strips of meat, hang them on branches to dry in the cold air. You smell blood, iron sharp, mingled with smoke from a nearby fire. You taste the fat they share, oily and warm against your tongue. Survival here is not easy, but it is certain. Practiced, no. You look closely at their faces, heavy brows, broad noses, strong jaws. Yet in their eyes you see something achingly familiar. Curiosity, watchfulness, a kind of awareness that stretches beyond the immediate moment. They glance at the horizon, at the sky, at one another, as though measuring more than danger, as though they carry in themselves the question of what it means to be here. The mountains change with seasons. In summer, the valleys burst green, streams running wild with meltwater. In winter, snow buries the land, silence pressing against every surface. Through it all, the Denisovans adapt. They stitch hides into clothing. They dig shelters against the wind. They keep fires alive through storms. They endure, and as they endure, they leave traces so faint you might miss them. Scraps of bone, fragments of teeth, a shard of jewelry buried in soil. Yet these faint traces carry voices across tens of thousands of years. You kneel beside a child's tooth, small and yellowed with age. It lies in your palm, no larger than a bead, yet from it you will one day read entire stories, DNA coiled inside, telling of kinship with Neanderthals, of mingling with humans, of children born from unions across species. You realize that the boundaries between kinds are softer than once imagined. The tree of humanity is tangled, its branches woven together, touching, crossing, mingling. You walk with them further east, across the vastness of Asia. They move through forests of birch and pine, across steppes where winds never rest, into caves that hold warmth against endless cold. In each place they leave whispers, stone tools, carved ornaments, fire pits blackened with ash. They do not build monuments. They do not leave cities, but they leave enough. Enough for you to know they were here, living, breathing, loving, enduring. At night you sit in another cave, further south, where air is thick with smoke and the scent of roasting meat. The fire crackles, sparks leaping upward. Around you the Denisovans murmur to each other in low voices. You cannot understand their sounds, yet you hear rhythm, pattern, cadence, language? Perhaps not as you know it, but something more than noise, a weaving of sound into meaning. You feel the hush of listening, the stir of recognition. You walk outside at dawn. The snow has fallen heavy, blanketing the pines, muffling the world. Your breath rises in white clouds. The Denisovans step into the drifts wrapped in hides, stone blades at their sides. They leave prints that sink deep, lines across the white. You follow, your feet sinking beside theirs, the crunch loud in silence. Above, the mountains rise blue in morning light, endless, immense, and you realize these people were not a footnote. They were a branch, full and strong, spreading wide across Asia, living for hundreds of thousands of years. Their story is not lesser for being hidden. It is part of you, part of all who came after. The wind carries snow into your face, sharp and cold. You pull the hide tighter. You hear the cry of a raven circling overhead. You watch the Denisovans walk steadily on, their shoulders broad, their pace unwavering, their shadows long across the white. They do not know they will vanish. They do not know their bones will be rare, their name forgotten until chance uncovers it again. They live as you live, step by step, day by day, fire by fire, and in that living, they shape the world, leaving echoes in blood and breath. Night falls again. You return to the cave, to the glow of embers, to the press of bodies against the cold. You lie back, eyes heavy, listening to the sigh of wind at the entrance, the crackle of fire, the slow rhythm of sleep. Around you the Denisovans rest. Their dreams dissolve into darkness. Their breath rises and falls. The mountains hold them close, as they have held so many. And so you drift with them into silence, into shadow, into the long patience of forgotten lives. The mountains fade behind you, and time pulls you further west, into lands gripped by cold. You breathe in the air of Ice Age Europe, sharp as stone, cutting into your lungs with each inhale. The world here is painted in white and grey, its forests of pine and birch dusted with snow, its rivers locked in ice, its skies low and heavy with cloud. Mammoths roam in slow herds, their wool thick and matted, tusks curving like crescents. Woolly rhinoceroses snort through drifts, reindeer crowd valleys in restless waves. The cold is merciless, but life endures, and among this frozen expanse, you see them, the Neanderthals. They are stockier than you, shorter but stronger, bodies built for endurance against frost. Their chests are wide, their limbs thick, their fingers powerful, their brows slope heavy, their faces broad, their noses wide to warm the air they breathe. Firelight glows on their skin, highlighting scars earned in hunts and falls. They are not brutish, not simple, they are human, just a different shape of human. You step into their camp, a ring of hides stretched over mammoth bones, smoke curling from the roof where a fire smoulders. Inside, warmth gathers, earthy and thick, smelling of smoke, meat and damp fur. Skins cover the ground. Stone tools lie scattered, flake scrapers, points. A woman sharpens a blade, her movements deliberate, each stroke carving the edge finer. A man sits beside her, repairing a spear with sinew, pulling it tight until it creaks. Children huddle together, gnawing on bones, eyes wide as they watch adults work. At the center burns the fire, flames crackle, sparks drift upward, shadows dance across the walls of the shelter. You feel its heat against your skin, soothing after the bite of outside wind. Fire here is not luxury, it is survival. It cooks, it warms, it protects, it gathers. Around it, they speak in low voices, sounds heavy and guttural, yet filled with meaning. You hear rhythm, tone, inflection. You hear the stirrings of language, not yours but theirs. Night outside is brutal. Wolves howl, their calls rolling across frozen valleys. Lions stalk reindeer at the edges of herds. Hyenas laugh in the dark. But within the ring of firelight, the Neanderthals endure. They press together, wrapped in hides, bodies radiating warmth. They feed children, stroke hair, murmur sounds that soothe. There is tenderness here, carved against the cold. You walk with them at dawn, stepping onto snow that crunches beneath heavy feet. Their tracks press deep, wide impressions, where toes spread against earth. They carry spears tipped with stone, their shafts polished smooth by use. They move silently, eyes sharp, scanning for movement among the trees. Breath clouds rise with each exhale. The hunt begins. They find reindeer along a frozen riverbank. The herd grazes. antlers rising like branches against sky. The Neanderthals crouch, wait, signal with glances. Then they rise, shouting, rushing forward. Spears thrust, strike, pierce hide and flesh. The herd scatters, hooves pounding ice. One reindeer stumbles, blood marking snow. The Neanderthals close in, finishing with thrusts swift and certain. The kill is not elegant, but it is efficient. They work together, coordinated, practiced. You help them haul the carcass back to camp. The smell of blood is sharp, mingling with sweat and frost. Back at the fire they butcher it quickly. Hide stripped, fat carved, meat roasted. Children's faces smear with grease. The warmth of meat spreads through bellies. A moment of satisfaction carved out of endless struggle. Later, in a cave nearby, you see their other world. The walls are painted, lines of ochre red, figures of animals, handprints pressed in pigment. Shapes curve in flickering light. Bison, horses, abstract signs. You touch the wall, your hand aligning with the shadow of a hand left here tens of thousands of years ago. A Neanderthal stood here, blew pigment from his mouth, pressed his palm, left his mark. A voice without words, echoing across deep time. The cave is silent, save for the crackle of fire and the faint drip of water from stone. You sit in the hush, surrounded by art that is not yours but not alien. The expression is old. The need to leave meaning is old. You realize Neanderthals were not only hunters, not only survivors. They were makers, artists, dreamers. You notice burials too, in shallow graves, bodies placed carefully, sometimes with tools, sometimes with flowers. You kneel beside one, a child's bones cradled in earth, pollen scattered near the skull. Was it intentional, a gift for the dead, or only accident? Flowers falling by chance, you cannot know, but you feel the hush of ritual, the weight of grief, the shape of mourning. The world around them shifts constantly. Ice advances, retreats, reshapes valleys, herds move, rivers dry, storms rage. Through it all, Neanderthals endure. For hundreds of thousands of years, they survive cold that would freeze you in hours. Their bodies bear scars, but their spirit is steady. They are not your ancestors in blood alone, but in resilience, in endurance, in persistence against a world that offered no mercy. You lie beside them one night in a cave, pressed close against fur, fire warming your face. Outside, snow falls heavy, muffling the world. Inside, breath rises in rhythm, slow and deep. A child curls against your chest, his small hand resting on yours. His fingers are thick, strong, yet his touch is soft. He will not live long. Few did, but in this moment he is alive, and alive is enough. You close your eyes. You feel the fire's warmth fade into dream. You hear the low murmur of voices, the soft crack of burning wood, the distant cry of wolves, and you understand. These were not beasts, they were human as you, shaped differently, living differently, but carrying the same flame. The snow continues to fall, the ice continues to spread. The Neanderthals breathe on, their fires flickering in caves across Europe, their paintings glowing red in darkness, their bones buried tenderly in earth. They are here, alive, enduring, for now. And the world holds them in silence, as it always has, as it always will. Time bends again, and you leave the cold valleys of Europe behind. The ice recedes, the forests thin, and the air grows warm, heavy, filled with the salt of ocean winds. You travel south, to seas where islands rise like green jewels scattered across blue water. The waves shimmer under the sun, birds wheel and cry overhead, their wings flashing white. The air smells of brine and flowers, humid and lush. Among these islands lies Flores, a place small and remote, ringed with coral reefs, forests pressing down to the shore. Here, in the caves that open like mouths in limestone cliffs, you meet them, the little people, the hobbits of humanity, Homo floresiensis. They are unlike the Neanderthals, unlike erectus, unlike you. Barely a meter tall, their bodies delicate yet sturdy, their heads small but their eyes bright. They walk upright, carry tools, hunt, cook, endure. You kneel to meet them eye to eye, and even then you sense their presence is large, their story vast. You follow them into Langbor Cave, its ceiling high, its air cool and damp. Smoke drifts from a fire, darkening stone. Bones litter the floor, rats, birds, small deer. Stone tools lie scattered, sharp and simple, flakes chipped from river rock. A woman crouches near the fire, turning skewers of meat. The scent is rich, savoury, filling the cave with warmth. Around her, others gather, their laughter soft, their gestures quick. You notice how they move with ease in this landscape, slipping between trees, crossing streams, climbing ridges. Their smallness is not weakness here, it is advantage. On this island, giant predators are few, but prey is also small. Dwarf elephants wander the forests no larger than cows. Rats grow as big as dogs. These little humans fit their world perfectly, scaled to its rhythms. At dusk you walk with them through the jungle. The air hums with insects, thick with their buzzing. The canopy above glows with slanted sunlight, green turning to gold. They carry spears, simple sticks tipped with stone, poised for the hunt. You hear rustle in the underbrush, see movement between trunks. A small deer darts out, legs flashing. The hobbits give chase, quick and nimble, weaving through roots and vines. One throws his spear, striking true. The deer stumbles, falls. Cheers rise, high-pitched but strong. They gather around the carcass, their hands deft as they cut, their voices rising in chatter. You watch their faces, their smiles, their eyes bright with triumph. For them, a kill is not only food, it is survival, shared joy, proof of skill. Back at the cave, the meat roasts over fire, fat drips, sizzling on coals. Children crowd close, reaching greedy fingers. Elders chew slowly, nodding with satisfaction. Smoke curls upward, carrying scent into the night. You sit with them, the warmth of the fire wrapping around you, their small hands brushing yours as they pass food. You notice their skulls, smaller than yours, their brains half the size, and yet they make tools. They hunt, they gather, they keep fire alive. Intelligence wears many forms. It does not need size alone. You feel humility settle in you, soft as the embers glow. The night outside is alive with sound, crickets shrilling, frogs croaking, bats flickering overhead, but within the cave, safety gathers. They lie close, curled against each other, wrapped in woven grasses and skins. Their breathing fills the darkness. One child murmurs in sleep, his small hand gripping a stone flake. You close your eyes beside him, lulled by rhythm, by warmth, by nearness. Days pass. You follow them through forests rich with fruit, through rivers where they fish with sharpened sticks, through ridges where they scan for prey. Their lives are simple, but not lesser. They know every plant, every animal, every season. They read the land as if it were a story written only for them. And yet, you sense fragility, population small, isolation deep. One storm, one disease, one change too great, and they vanish. Islands keep secrets, but islands also trap. Their world is narrow, bounded by sea, unable to stretch beyond its shores. One morning you stand at the edge of the ocean with them. The waves roll in, white foam against dark sand. They gaze out at the horizon, at the endless blue, at lands they will never reach. Boats are not theirs. The sea is both provider and prisoner. They fish at its edge. They gather shellfish from its shallows, but they do not sail. Their lives remain here, bound to Flores, to the jungle, to the cave. Still they endure. For tens of thousands of years, they live, hunt, feast, sleep, raise children, bury dead. They are human in every way that matters. They feel joy, fear, hunger, tenderness. They make do with little, but little is enough. You linger with them one last night in Langbois. The fire crackles, shadows leap across stone. A woman hums softly, rocking a child. A man carves a point from bone, his hands steady. Children chase each other in circles, their laughter ringing. You lie back against the cave wall, eyes heavy, heart quiet. Above, bats flutter, their wings whispering in dark. And you know, as they do not, that their time will end. Perhaps a volcano erupts, darkening skies. Perhaps storms come, seas rise, prey dwindles. Perhaps disease spreads. Whatever the reason, they vanish. The cave will grow silent. The tools will lie abandoned. Bones will be covered by earth. Only whispers will remain. Yet they are not gone entirely. Their story is here, in the soil, in the stone, in the memory carried forward by those who discover them. Their smallness becomes wonder. Their fragility becomes strength. Their life, though forgotten for millennia, lives again in your listening. The fire burns low. The night deepens. The cave breathes silence. You close your eyes among them, drifting into dream, carrying their story like a spark into darkness. And the little people of Flores walk with you still, shadows on the shore of time. Time folds again, and you feel yourself drawn back to Africa, into a land of stone rising out of savanna. The air here is warm, dry, filled with the calls of birds circling overhead. The ground crunches beneath your feet, gravel and dust scattered across ancient ridges. Ahead, hills of limestone rise, pocked with openings like mouths. Caves cut deep into the earth, narrow passages winding into darkness. This is where you find them, the most elusive of all, Homo naledi. You step into the cool of a cavern, leaving the sunlight behind. At first, there is nothing but shadow. The air smells of dust, of age, of stone holding secrets. Your hand trails along the wall, rough with mineral veins. The passage narrows, forcing you to squeeze sideways, your shoulders brushing cold rock. The silence deepens, until even your own breath seems loud, and then you emerge into a chamber. The floor is scattered with bones, dozens of them, skulls, ribs, femurs, small and fragile, lying where they fell. No predator brought them here, no flood swept them in. They were placed by others of their kind, by hands deliberate, careful. You kneel among them, and a shiver moves through you. You are in the presence of a mystery. The figures who left these bones are strange, a puzzle of old and new, their brains small, no larger than an orange, their hands curved, fingers suited for climbing, their shoulders narrow, their bodies slender, yet they walk upright, they carry tools, they gather their dead in hidden chambers. You see them now, by the dim glow of fire carried into the cave, their shadows tall on stone walls. A group descends into the chamber. They move with care, holding bundles wrapped in leaves and hide. They kneel, unwrapping the body of a child, placing it gently on the ground. Their voices rise in low murmurs, not words as you know them, but sounds heavy with meaning. They linger, touching the bones, pressing hands to the earth. Then they leave, their firelight dwindling into dark. You sit in silence beside the child's remains. The air is still. The cave holds its breath. Why did they do this? Why carry bodies into a place so hard to reach, so deep in earth? Is it ritual, grief, respect, or something else entirely? You cannot know, not fully, but you feel it. The stirrings of meaning beyond survival. You climb with them when they leave the cave. Their bodies are wiry, strong, suited for scrambling up rock, for gripping branches, for slipping through cracks in cliffs. They emerge into sunlight, blinking, stretch. The land spreads wide, savanna golden in the afternoon, thorn trees scattered, vultures circling overhead. They move quickly across open ground, carrying tools of stone chipped sharp, hunting sticks, polished smooth. You follow them to a river. They crouch at its edge, scooping water in cupped hands, splashing faces. One male strikes stone against stone, producing flakes small but effective. He hands one to a female who uses it to scrape bark from a branch. Their tools are simple, not as refined as hand axes of erectus, but enough to cut, to scrape, to pierce. They hunt small game birds, rodents, antelope calves. They scavenge from larger kills left by lions. They dig roots, crack nuts, gather berries. Children imitate, learning through play, striking stones, chewing fruit, chasing insects. Life here is lean, but it continues. At night they return to caves, to hollows where fires burn low. The air smells of smoke, of meat, of earth. They huddle together, bodies pressed close, warmth shared. You notice how they groom each other, fingers combing through hair, pulling insects from skin. Tenderness lies here, in small gestures, in nearness. But always, the caves hold something more. Bodies carried deep, bones left in darkness. Over and over, across generations. You walk the passages with them, squeezing through narrow cracks, crawling on hands and knees, breath loud in tight spaces. They carry their dead carefully, deliberately, never abandoning this practice. No other creature does this. Few even of your kind will do it so early. It is mystery. It is meaning. You sit one evening with a group outside the cave. The sky burns red with sunset, the air cooling as shadows lengthen. They share food, passing scraps of meat, chewing roots. Children laugh, chasing each other through dust. Adults watch, their eyes reflecting firelight. A storm rises. Lightning splits the sky. Rain hammers earth, filling cracks, flooding hollows. The naledi huddle in cave mouths, watching the storm rage. Water streams off cliffs, mud slides into valleys. They wait, patient, enduring. When the storm passes, they emerge, scanning damage, scavenging drowned animals, adjusting. Survival here is always balance, always adaptation. You watch them climb trees with ease, their curved fingers gripping branches, their feet steady as they rise. From high above, they scan the land, watching herds move, smoke drift, storms gather. They descend, quick and sure, leaping the last few feet to ground, and yet they remain hidden. For hundreds of thousands of years, they live, they die, they bury, and the world beyond never knows. No great migration spread their name. No vast range of tools marks their passage. They are quiet, elusive, tucked into shadows of earth. But now, you walk with them, and they are no longer hidden. You feel their presence, their mystery, their questions. Why bury the dead? Why return to darkness again and again? What thoughts stirred in those small brains? What beliefs, what fears, what hopes? You cannot answer, but you can sit with them in silence, honoring the unknowable. And as you close your eyes, you realize that mystery itself is part of the story. Not all can be known. Some truths lie in darkness, waiting, hidden, reminding you that humanity is not only answers, but also questions. The cave breathes around you, holding its secrets close. The bones rest in silence. The fire burns low, and you drift into sleep, carrying the riddle of Homo naledi with you into dream. The caves of Africa fall behind you, and time carries you forward into a web of crossings. The world is fuller now, its landscapes alive, not with one kind of human, but with many. You walk through valleys where different footsteps press into the same soil, through forests where voices of distinct throats echo together, through plains where shadows of species overlap. This is not a world of isolation. It is a world of entanglement. You see them first in the Middle East, where Africa opens into Eurasia, a narrow bridge of land where deserts meet green valleys, where rivers cut through stone, where herds gather at waterholes. Here Neanderthals and Homo sapiens cross paths. They look at one another across firelight, each recognizing both similarity and difference. Their skins different in hue, their faces shaped with other lines, but their eyes equally bright, equally searching. At first there is weariness. Spears are gripped tight, fires burned higher, children pressed close, but hunger softens fear, and curiosity cracks silence. You watch as they approach slowly, gestures tentative, offerings made, meat held out, stone tools laid on the ground, grunts and words intermingle, misunderstandings flaring, laughter rising despite. They learn, they find way. You see them touch. A Neanderthal hand resting on a sapien's shoulder, tentative, then firm. A child with hair dark as night, held in the arms of a woman whose brows slope heavy, whose gaze is steady. Interbreeding begins. Not once, not rarely, but again and again across generations. The bloodlines twist together, gens mingle, children of mixed heritage laugh and run across camps, carrying the future in their bones. You travel further east, across mountains into Asia, where another species waits in shadow, the Denisovans. In caves high on plateaus, sapiens meet them too. Encounters are brief, but never forgotten. You hear the hush of whispers in dark, the sound of bodies pressed close, the mingling of breath, and once again, children are born. Denisovan genes sink into the stream of humanity, flowing forward through time, carried in lungs that breathe thin air, in immune systems that guard against sickness, in whispers hidden inside cells. You realize then that species is not boundary, but braid. The human family is not a tree of clean branches, but a river with currents merging, separating, meeting again. You walk along that river, watching it flow, watching it tangle. Each current carries its own color, its own song, but they join, over and over, becoming one. In Europe, you sit with a band of Neanderthals beside a sapiens group. They share fire, they share food. Around the flames they share more, the shapes of hands pressed in ochre on cave walls, the lines of animals drawn in flickering light. Who painted first, who taught whom, you cannot tell, but the art belongs to both, to all, to humanity itself. In Asia, you follow sapiens bands through bamboo forests. They carry tools of bone, ornaments of shell, songs that echo in high, clear voices. You hear Denisovan notes within those songs, echoes of another lineage shaping sound, genes remembered in music, in breath, in rhythm. In Oceania, you drift among islanders whose bodies carry traces of Denisovan kinship. Their eyes gleam in firelight, their children run along beaches, their songs rise into night air. They do not know their blood is tangled, they only live, as humans always live. But you know their ancestors met others, touched others, mingled with others. No line is pure, no lineage alone. At night you lie among them, staring at stars. You think of the invisible threads stretching backward, Neanderthals, Denisovans, naledi, floresiensis, habilis, floresiensis, all braided into the story, You feel it in your own breath, your own skin, your own bones. You are not only one, you are many. You recall the child's tooth in the Siberian cave, where DNA revealed a mother who was Neanderthal, a father Denisovan, a girl of mixed heritage, alive for a moment, gone for millennia, yet remembered again. Her existence proves what you feel here in the dark, that the borders between kinds are porous, that humanity has always been a story of meeting, mingling, merging. You walk through grasslands where sapiens bands absorb Neanderthals into their numbers, where children grow with mixed faces, where skills and songs are shared. You walk through forests where Denisovans fade into small populations, their genes carried onward even as their names are forgotten. You walk through caves where naledi bones lie hidden, their mystery untouched by interbreeding, their voices silent, yet their presence still part of the larger whole. The earth itself seems to understand this weaving. Winds carry scents from one valley to another, rivers join, split, join again, birds migrate, crossing lands, carrying seeds in their bellies. The world is not separation, the world is connection, and yet, not all survive. Even as blood mingles, some branches fade. Neanderthals shrink in number, pushed into corners of Europe, their camps fewer, their fires dimmer. Denisovans vanish into mountains and caves, leaving only whispers. The hobbits of Flores fall silent, the naledi bones wait in darkness. Only sapiens spread further, multiplying, filling lands, carrying echoes of all the others within. You sit with this truth by a fire one evening, surrounded by a group whose faces show hints of both Neanderthal and sapiens, their jaws broad, their foreheads high, their eyes intelligent. They laugh, they eat, they share warmth. They are not one or the other, they are both, and in them you see the future. You see yourself. The flames sink low, shadows deepen. The mingling of species is not visible in the dark, not audible in the quiet, not obvious in the bones scattered on earth. But it is there, in blood, in breath, in every cell. The intertwining is the story. The human family is not one line but many, woven together, tangled, beautiful in its complexity. You close your eyes. You feel the warmth of others beside you, their shoulders against yours, their breathing steady. You are not alone. You have never been alone. Humanity has always been plural, always been shared. The fire flickers, the night deepens, the web of kinship holds. And so you drift with them, into dream, into the river of time, carried not by one branch but by many braided together, flowing forward into everything yet to come. The world opens wider now, and you walk it not as an observer of single species, but as a companion to all. The earth is alive with voices, beasts that roam plains, birds that darken skies, insects that hum in thick waves, rivers that speak in murmurs, winds that carry every scent. To be human in this deep time is not to stand apart, but to move among, woven into the lives of animals and the moods of elements. You follow a band across savannah, grass bowing in wind, sun beating down until heat shimmers like water. Ahead, a herd of gazelle flickers across the horizon, their legs swift, their movements fluid. Humans watch, crouched low, eyes sharp. They study the herd as if reading text written in muscle and shadow. Which one limps? Which one drifts to the edges? Which path they will take to water? To hunt here is not conquest. It is listening, observing, blending with patterns until action aligns with chance. You walk with them in silence. They wait hours, patient as stone, until the moment arrives. Then they rise, shouting, running, spears flying. The herd scatters, dust rising in clouds. One gazelle falls, pierced, struggling, then still. Breath rushes from hunters' chests. Sweat gleams on skin. Cries rise sharp and triumphant, yet there is no waste. Meat is carved, hides stripped, sinew pulled, bones broken for marrow. The animal is not trophy but sustenance, life passing into life. At night you sit by fire as fat sizzles, smoke curling into sky. The smell of roasted meat mingles with wood smoke, heavy, rich. Children gnaw bones, grease running down their chins. Adults chew in silence, eyes on flames, faces glowing orange. You feel the intimacy of eating together, the way survival binds not just bodies but spirits. In the morning, the camp wakes to other voices. Hyenas circle the edges, eyes gleaming, laughter echoing in dark. Vultures gather on branches, waiting for scraps. Dogs, half wild, prowl near, drawn by scent. The humans tolerate them, throw bones, sometimes chase them away, sometimes let them linger. Slowly, over generations, those dogs will draw nearer, will lie beside fires, will share hunts. But for now, the line between enemy and ally wavers. You travel north with another band into forests thick with pine. The air here is damp, filled with the scent of moss, of rain-soaked bark. Deer move like shadows between trunks, their hooves barely sounding. Bears prowl in silence, their presence heavy, felt before seen. The humans step cautiously, carrying firebrands, carrying spears. They are not lords here, they are guests, walking among giants, listening for every crack of twig, every distant growl. You crouch as they forage, women digging roots with sticks, children plucking berries with stained fingers, men scanning trees for birds' nests heavy with eggs. Life is not only meat, it is plants, fruits, insects, fish. The forest offers many gifts, if one knows where to look. The humans do, for knowledge is passed in gesture, in memory, in patient observation of what grows and when. Storms break, often in these woods. Rain lashes, thunder rolls, lightning splits trees. Humans gather under overhangs, pressing together, fires hissing under downpour. They wait it out, shivering, whispering. When the storm passes, the air smells clean, fresh, full of promise. Mushrooms sprout, rivers swell with fish, animals emerge hungry. The storm destroys, and the storm renews. You walk further still into lands of ice where mammoths roam, their tusks slicing the air, their trumpets rolling across valleys. To hunt one is nearly impossible, yet sometimes chance grants it. An old bull weakened, a young calf separated, spears fly, stones strike, shouts echo, danger is immense. One swing of tusk can shatter bone, one step of foot can crush skull, yet hunger drives risk. When mammoth falls, the feast lasts weeks. Meat smokes over fires, hides cover shelters, bones form frames for tents. Life from life, gift from danger, and always. Other animals circle. Wolves trail humans, eyes gleaming in snowlight. Ravens cry overhead, swooping down to steal scraps. Foxes dart in shadows, pause silent on ice. To live is to share, whether willingly or not. The camp becomes part of the greater cycle, food passing from kill to many mouths. You pause at rivers where fish flash silver, humans weave nets of grasses, spearfish in shallows, roast them on sticks over flames. The smell is sharp, salty, strong. You pause at beaches where shells lie scattered. Women gather them, children pry them open, savor meat within. The sea is generous, and humans learn its rhythms, tides, seasons, migrations. And beyond animals, there are elements. Fire, first stolen, then kept, then made. You watch them strike stone against stone, sparks leaping, tinder catching, flames flaring. The triumph in their faces glows brighter than the fire itself. They guard embers through storms, carry them from camp to camp, nurture them as if alive. Fire is warmth, protection, transformation. Fire is a god before gods are named. You feel the bite of cold wind on your face as they wrap hides tighter, gather closer to flames. You feel the scorch of sun on plains, sweat pouring, mouths dry, searching desperately for shade. You feel the flood of rivers after rains, currents dragging, sweeping, threatening. You feel the quake of earth, tremors shaking stone, toppling trees. To live here is not mastery, it is negotiation with the elements, constant, humble, enduring. One evening, you sit with them as wind rises fierce, carrying sand across plains. It stings skin, blinds eyes. They crouch behind rocks, shielding children, covering faces. The storm lasts hours, relentless. When it passes, the world lies buried, dunes reshaped, landmarks gone. They rise, shaken but alive, and begin again. Resilience is not strength alone, it is patience. Another night, lightning strikes a tree near camp. Fire bursts sudden, wild, roaring upward. Humans shout, scatter, fear flashing in eyes, but some stay, watching, drawn by the light, the heat, the power. They wait until flames subside, until wood lies smouldering, until coals can be carried. Out of terror comes tool. Out of awe comes possession. You realize then that animals and elements are not backdrop. They are partners in the story. Each hunt, each storm, each fire shapes humanity, molds bodies, teaches minds. To live alongside is to learn, to adapt, to change. The night stretches. You lie by fire listening to wolves howl in distance, to rain drip from leaves, to wind move through grass. The humans around you breathe slow, steady. You close your eyes, carried by their warmth, their rhythm, their endurance, and you understand humanity is not apart from the world. Humanity is of it, among it, shaped by tooth and claw, by sun and storm, by fire and flood. To remember this is to remember truth. The flames sink low, the stars wheel above, the animals sleep, the elements rest. And so do you, drifting with them into silence, into dream. You walk further into the long night of prehistory, and the story of humans begins to glow brighter, not in numbers, not yet, but in the sparks of culture, in the slow unfurling of creativity. It is here, in the silence of caves and the flicker of firelight, that tools grow sharper, fires steadier, and paintings bloom on stone. You crouch beside a woman in a camp at dusk. She holds a core of flint between her knees, striking it with rhythm, each blow ringing like a quiet bell. Chips scatter, edges sharpen, and slowly a blade emerges, long, thin, precise. She turns it in her hand, testing, then passes it to another who binds it to a shaft with sinew and resin. A spear is made, not crude but deliberate, balanced, sharp. You feel its weight as it is placed in your hand, the promise of distance in its point. Nearby, others scrape hides with stone scrapers, pulling away fat and hair, softening until leather bends supple. They pierce holes with awls, thread sinew, stitch crude clothing. Children sit close, watching, mimicking, striking stones clumsily, playing with scraps of hide. Knowledge passes not through words alone, but through hands, through gesture, through repetition. The fire at the center burns steady. Sparks rise into the night, red as embers of memory. Humans feed it constantly, never letting it die. They carry embers wrapped in bark from camp to camp. They strike stones to coax sparks into flame. They tend fire as if tending life itself, because they are the same. You sit by flames one night, listening to voices rise and fall in rhythm, not yet full language, not yet story as you know it, but songs of sound, chants, hums, calls that bind the group. Children fall asleep against parents' shoulders, lulled by firelight and murmur. The smell of smoke clings to skin, to hair, to hide. The fire burns through night after night, anchor of all. And then, one day you step into a cave. The air is cool, still, carrying the faint scent of damp earth. The ceiling arches high, walls sweeping smooth. At first you see only shadows. Then, as torches flare, shapes emerge, paintings glowing and flicker, bison with horns wide, horses galloping, their manes wild, deer with antlers sprawling like trees, colours red, black, ochre, yellow, hands pressed to walls, outlines blown in pigment, palms reaching across millennia. You stand in awe. These are not idle marks. These are visions placed deliberately, meaning pressed into stone. What do they mean? Ritual? Story? Magic to call herds closer? Memory of hunts past? You cannot know, not fully, but you feel it. An urgency to mark, to create, to say we were here. You walk deeper, torchlight revealing more. Animals overlap, painted one atop another. Generations layering images like voices in chorus. Some figures are simple, lines etched quick. Others are detailed, shaded, alive with motion. The humans here did not merely survive. They imagined. They dreamed. You kneel, pressing your hand against a painted palm. It is small, perhaps a woman's, perhaps a child's. You place your hand over it, and for a moment time folds, and you touch across thousands of years. Someone once stood here, cheeks puffed with pigment, breath blowing colour around their hand, leaving absence as presence. That handprint is a whisper. I existed. I was human. Remember me. The cave is silent, save for your breath and the crackle of torch. Shadows shift. Animals seem to move and flicker. You realize then that fire and painting are kin. Both transform stone into living thing. Both make the inanimate breathe. Both hold memory beyond flesh. You leave the cave at dawn. Outside, the world is pale blue, mist curling across grass. The camp wakes slowly, fires rekindled, tools lifted, but the paintings remain inside, untouched, preserved in dark, hidden, yet enduring. You travel on, following other camps, other tools, other fires. You see blades refined, flint napped to delicate thinness, cutting clean and sharp. You see spear throwers carved, wooden shafts flying farther than arms alone could throw. You see needles of bone stitching hides into clothing that fits snug, warm, protective. You see beads of shell and bone strung on sinew, ornaments glowing in firelight. These are not only survival, these are choices, symbols, expressions. You realize culture has bloomed. Humanity is not only body, it is creation. At night, by fire, you hear sounds more structured, more deliberate, words forming. Though you cannot catch their meaning, language itself emerging, carried in rhythm, passed in song, whispered to children, shouted across hunts. Language is fire of the mouth, painting of the air. It binds as tightly as flame binds a camp. Storms pass, animals migrate, rivers shift, but tools remain, fire remains, painting remains. They are anchors, constants, markers of humanity. Wherever humans go, they carry these things: stone, flame, image, word. One evening, you sit with a band as they prepare for hunt. Spears sharpened, blades bound, firebrands readied. They chant together, voices rising in unity, stamping feet, clapping hands. It is ritual, part preparation, part magic. They step into dawn with courage shaped by sound, by fire, by tool. The hunt succeeds. Not always, not without loss, but enough. Another night, you rest in a cave where paintings glow above, fire burning below, voices weaving around you. A woman hums softly, rocking a child. A man carves lines into bone, marking perhaps days, perhaps seasons. Others sharpen tools, scrape hides, feed flames. The ordinary and extraordinary merge. This is life. This is culture. This is humanity becoming more than flesh. You close your eyes, smoke curling around you, heat on your face, voices soft in dark. The paintings linger behind lids, red animals running across black. The fire flickers, sparks drift upward, ash falls. You drift with them into sleep, carrying tools, carrying flames, carrying images, and you understand. Survival became memory, memory became art, art became meaning. Humanity learned not only to endure, but to express, and expression once begun, never. The cave breathes, the fire glows, the paintings remain, and you drift into dream, carrying their light across time. You walk further into the deep corridors of time, and the world begins to thin. Once, many fires burned across the earth, different kinds of humans, each tending their own hearths, each shaping their own tools, each raising children beneath the same stars. Now, those fires flicker, fewer with every passing season. The branches of the human family tree are fading, not all at once, but slowly, quietly, as if night itself were blowing softly across their flames. You see it first in Europe. Neanderthals still move through forests, their bodies strong, their skills keen, but the camps are smaller now, the hunts less certain. Bands wander in search of herds that no longer pass as often. The cold deepens, then relents, then deepens again. Climate shifts like a restless giant, and with each change, their hold grows weaker. You sit with them one evening, as they share the last of a reindeer kill. The fire is low, their voices soft. Children lean heavily against parents, their bellies never quite full. Across the valley, other humans move, slimmer, more numerous, their tools sharper, their numbers rising. Homo sapiens, they share the land, but not equally. One group grows, the other shrinks. In Asia, you search for Denisovans, but they are harder to find. Their caves lie empty, their tools scattered, their fires cold. You see only fragments, bones left behind, a bracelet buried in soil, the faint whisper of DNA carried in your own blood. They did not vanish suddenly. They dissolved, absorbed, their numbers dwindling until only echoes remained. The mountains still remember them, though the world does not. On Flores the hobbit folk are gone. Langbohr Cave lies silent, its hearths long dark. You run your fingers across the stone where once their laughter rang, where their fires smoked, where their children played with stone flakes. Now only bats flutter in shadows, their wings whispering like ghosts. Perhaps a storm came, or a flood, or disease. Perhaps the larger humans who arrived could not live alongside them. Whatever the reason, they are silent now. In South Africa, the Naledi caves hold their bones still, untouched in deep chambers. Did they vanish long before others rose? Or did they linger quietly, unseen, until their numbers slipped below return? Their mystery remains, but their bodies do not stir. Their silence is their story. You walk through all these places, the empty caves, the abandoned hearths, the silent forests. You see traces of those who once lived, who once laughed, who once tended fire. Stone tools lie where they were dropped, hand axes half buried in soil, beads still strung on sinew that has long since crumbled. Evidence of life without the presence of living. You feel the sadness of it, the weight of loss. These were not beasts. These were humans, each in their own way. They endured for hundreds of thousands of years. longer than your species has yet existed, and yet they are gone, every one. Their voices no longer echo, their songs no longer rise, their children no longer run through grass. Why? You ask it as you walk. Why did they fade? Was it the shifting climate, the harshness of ice and drought? Was it the competition of sapiens who spread faster, hunted more cleverly, survived more ruthlessly? Was it chance, misfortune, fragility of small numbers? You cannot answer fully. The truth is tangled, like roots under soil. Yet you notice something as you move among sapiens' bands. They are many, and they are restless. Their tools are sharper, their hunts more coordinated, their shelters stronger. They trade shells across long distances. They paint caves with stories. They bury their dead with care. Their numbers swell. Their reach expands. Their fire spreads. And as their fire brightens, the others' flames dim. You sit with a sapiens band one night, listening to them sing around fire, their voices layered, their rhythm steady. Across the valley, a small group of Neanderthals watches from the shadows, their fire barely glowing. Two species, so close in form, yet one rising, the other receding. You feel the imbalance, the slow tilt of fate. In the caves, paintings continue. In the camps, tools multiply. Sapiens move into every corner. Plains, forests, coasts, mountains. They adapt to cold, to heat, to wet, to dry. They fill the world with presence, and in their shadow, the others fade. You return one last time to a Neanderthal camp. The fire is nearly out, embers glowing weak. The people sit close, their faces quiet. A child curls in her mother's arms, her breath shallow, her body thin. A man stares into the dark, his spear across his knees, his shoulders heavy. They know, though they cannot name it, that their time is ending. They endure as long as they can, but the world moves on without them. You leave them in silence, the night pressing heavy, the stars cold above. You walk onward, and their presence does not follow. The fire of their kind is nearly gone, and yet you realize they are not entirely lost. They live in memory, in bones, in paintings, in fragments of DNA carried forward in sapiens' blood. They live in you. When you breathe, you carry their breath. When you dream, you echo their silence. When you walk upright, you walk paths they cleared, forgotten kin, but not erased. The night deepens. The fires flicker low. You close your eyes, hearing echoes of laughter now gone, feeling warmth of bodies now dust, smelling smoke of hearths long cold. You drift into sleep, carrying their memory, carrying their loss, carrying their place in you. And the forgotten kin rest in silence, their story written into yours. You move forward through time, and the fading of Neanderthals sharpens into a single place, a final refuge pressed against the sea. The winds carry salt now, the air damp with spray, the cliffs high and jagged above waves that crash ceaselessly against rock. This is Gibraltar, the southern edge of Europe, where land meets ocean, and where the last Neanderthal fires glow. You stand at the entrance of Gorham's cave, its mouth opening wide to the sea. The floor is sand, cool beneath your feet, patterned with tide's retreat. The air inside is damp, echoing with the drip of water, the sigh of waves. Deeper within, you see it, a fire, faint, flickering against walls, carved by salt and time. And around it, a small band, fewer than you have ever seen, Neanderthals holding on at the edge of the world. Their faces are familiar now, broad brows, strong jaws, stocky bodies shaped for cold. But their eyes are tired. They move slowly, voices soft, gestures restrained. Their numbers are too few, their children too scarce, their days too heavy. Still they endure, They roast shellfish gathered from shore. Their smell briny, sharp. They scrape hides into clothing, patch old tools with care. They huddle in shelter, listening to wind batter stone. You crouch beside them as they eat. The fire crackles, light dancing across their faces. One child leans into her mother's side, her hair tangled, her eyes wide and solemn. She does not play, does not laugh, but sits silently, watching flames. Her silence feels heavy, as though she knows what even the adults cannot name, that her people are almost gone. Outside, the sea rages. You walk along the shore with a man carrying a stone blade. He bends to gather limpets, pries mussels from rock, cracks shells open with practiced strength. The food is small, meager, but enough to keep hunger away another day. He glances often at the horizon, where no sails yet pass, where only endless water stretches. Perhaps he wonders what lies beyond. He will never know. You return with him to the cave, to the small circle of warmth. The Neanderthals speak to one another in low tones, their voices rising and falling in patterns of familiarity. They still know tenderness, hands brushing, food shared, shoulders leaned against. They still know craft tools sharpened, bones carved, symbols scratched into stone. On one wall of the cave, faint lines are etched, cross-hatched, like a mark left with meaning, though you cannot read it. A signature, a last whisper, we were here. The seasons pass, winters bite hard, storms fierce, summers brief and meager. The band grows smaller. You notice absences, an elder who no longer sits by fire, a child whose laughter never comes, a man whose spear lies untouched, illness, hunger, age, accident, each death a wound, and with so few, each wound cannot heal. You sit with the survivors, now only a handful. Their fire is small, their voices quieter still. They roast what little they gather, birds, fish, shellfish, roots. Their bodies grow lean, their movements slow. The child you saw before now carries herself with the weight of adulthood, though she is hardly more than a girl. Her eyes are hollow, her shoulders bent. She may never have children. She may be the last. One evening, you walk outside. The sun is setting over the sea, casting gold across waves. The cave mouth glows orange, its walls lit like an ember. Smoke drifts upward into the sky, thin, fragile. That smoke is the last of their fires, the last of a lineage stretching back hundreds of thousands of years, the last Neanderthals. You return inside, the night pressing close. The fire burns low, the Neanderthals curl together, sleeping in silence, their breath shallow, their bodies weary. You lie beside them, listening to the surf crash outside, the drip of water in stone, the crackle of embers fading. You know that when this fire dies, no others will replace it. The morning comes grey, the sea restless, the air cold. The band rises slowly, gathering shells, mending hides. Their faces show no despair, no sense of ending. They live as they always have, day by day, meal by meal, breath by breath. Extinction is not felt as catastrophe. It is felt as hunger, as silence, as dwindling. They fade not with a scream, but with a whisper. You stay until the fire burns out, until the cave grows cold, until only smoke clings faint in air. You step outside, the waves roaring louder now, gulls crying overhead. The cave behind you stands empty, its hearths dark. No more Neanderthal footsteps press into sand. No more voices echo in stone. But still, they are not gone entirely. In your own body you carry them, small threads of DNA woven into blood, into lungs, into skin. They live in you, though they never knew you. Their strength, their endurance, their creativity, all folded quietly into your being. They are absent in body, but present in memory, in inheritance, in story. The cave waits in shadow, its walls etched, its fire gone, its story finished. The people are no more. Yet the earth remembers, the sea remembers, and you remember. The fires of others grow dim now, their warmth fading into memory. You walk onward through a world that once held many kinds of human, but now, more and more, holds only one. And what remains most present is not their voices, not their laughter, not even their footsteps. What remains is the silence they left behind. You stand at the mouth of an empty cave. Once it was filled with Neanderthals, children chasing one another across stone, adults sharpening blades, fires burning bright. Now the floor is bare, save for bones scattered like forgotten seeds. The air smells only of damp stone and dust. Your own breath echoes too loud, too alone. The silence presses against you, heavy, final. You walk across islands where hobbits once lived. Flores is lush still, its jungles humming with insects, its rivers running fast. But Liangbo Cave holds no fire, no smoke, no voices, only bats fluttering in shadow, only the drip of water. The silence here is not peaceful. It is absence, hollow and unyielding. You crawl once more into the caves of South Africa, the narrow passages where naledi carried their dead. The bones remain, piled where hands placed them, but no footsteps disturb the dust. No torches flicker, no murmurs rise. The chambers are still, sealed in darkness. The silence feels eternal, as if the earth itself has swallowed their voices. You wander across the wide steppes of Asia, searching for Denisovans. The mountains stand tall, their peaks sharp against sky. Rivers cut deep, winds howl cold, snow drifts heavy, but the caves are empty, the fire's gone. Only fragments lie buried, teeth, bones, ornaments lost in soil. Their silence echoes louder than their presence ever did. And in Europe, where Neanderthal fires burned for hundreds of thousands of years, only the hush of forest remains. The rivers flow, the animals still graze, but no stocky figures move through trees, no heavy brows turn toward you, no deep voices rise in song. Their silence hangs in the air like mist. You feel it as you walk. Silence not of peace, but of endings. Silence where once there was rhythm, where once there was presence. It is the silence of a world less full, a world that has lost some of its chorus. Yet you also notice how the silence deepens your awareness. When no Neanderthals laugh in caves, you hear the drip of water more sharply. When no Denisovans breathe in mountains, you hear the wind whistle through stone. When no hobbits chatter in jungles, you hear the cries of birds with greater clarity. Their silence makes the world itself louder. You sit one evening on a cliff overlooking a valley. The air is still, the stars endless above. You imagine what it would be like if other fires still burned below. If in one corner Neanderthals gathered, in another Denisovans, in another hobbits, the valley alive with many voices, many songs, many ways of being human. Instead, there is only your own fire flickering small, alone in vast night. You feel sorrow, but also gratitude, for their silence gave you space. Their absence gave you room to grow, to spread, to fill the earth. Without their fading, your fire might not have burned so bright. The silence they left behind is both loss and gift. You walk into a forest at dawn. Dew clings to leaves, mist drifts low, birds sing, insects hum. The forest is alive, but human voices are few. Only sapiens move here now, slim and numerous, their camp spreading, their songs rising. The silence of others lingers at the edges, like a shadow behind each sound. At night you dream of what has been lost. You see Neanderthals sitting close, their hands rough but gentle. You see Denisovans carving bracelets in caves, their eyes steady. You see hobbits hunting small deer, their laughter ringing. You see naledi carrying their dead into darkness, their faces solemn. And then you wake, and the world is quiet and they are gone. But silence is not nothing. Silence is memory unspoken. Silence is presence without body. Silence is the echo that reminds you of what once was. You carry it with you, not as emptiness, but as weight. You lie by your fire listening to its crackle, to the breathing of sapiens around you, to the distant call of animals. In between each sound you hear silence. You know it belongs to them, the forgotten kin, the vanished humans. Their silence lingers, wrapping around you like a second skin. And as you close your eyes drifting into sleep, you understand silence is not the end of their story. Silence is how they live on in the gaps, in the pauses, in the spaces left for you to fill. The silence they left behind is not emptiness, it is invitation. You rest in that silence, letting it cradle you, letting it carry you into dream. And the forgotten voices linger still, just beyond hearing, waiting. The cave at Gibraltar fades behind you, its embers cold, its people gone. You step forward into a quieter world, quieter not because it holds fewer voices, but because so many of those voices are now folded into one. Neanderthals are gone, Denisovans gone, floresiensis silent, naledi still, only Homo sapiens remain, carrying with them not only their own fire but the sparks of all who came before. And yet, those others are not truly absent. You feel them inside you, not as memories you can summon, but as whispers written into flesh, into blood, into bone. When you look into a mirror, you see only your face, but within you lie traces of others, shadows of kin who shaped your body in ways unseen. You walk with sapiens bands across grasslands, watching them spread, multiply, thrive. They do not know it, but their children carry Neanderthal blood, Denisovan blood, the faint fingerprints of forgotten kin. Their bones will never reveal it, their songs will never name it, but their cells remember. In the deep spiral of DNA, those who vanished still endure. You sit with a mother as she nurses her child. The baby's skin is warm against her chest, his fingers clutching at her hair, his eyes open wide, dark and searching. He is sapiens, but in his blood flow strands of Neanderthal inheritance. Genes that shape his immune system, make him stronger against sickness, help him survive the unseen battles of the body. He will never know the kin who gifted him this resilience. He will never need to. The memory lies deeper than thought, deeper than dream. You travel east into high mountains where air thins and lungs ache, yet the people here breathe easily, their bodies adapted to the heights. They owe this to Denisovans' kin who vanished long ago, but who left their legacy in blood. Without those genes, life here would be short, harsh, impossible. With them, children are born strong, families thrive, fires burn even in thin air. The Denisovans live on in every breath of those who dwell at altitude. Further still, across oceans, you find islanders whose bodies carry whispers of Denisovan blood. Their skin gleams in firelight, their eyes bright, their laughter ringing across waves. They know nothing of caves in Siberia, of mountains where Denisovans once walked. Yet those forgotten cousins shaped them too, leaving marks invisible but vital, gems that influence skin, bones, the rhythms of life itself. Memory not in story but in structure. You pause realizing that ancestry is not clean, not simple. It is not a straight line from past to present. It is a braid, tangled and beautiful, strands crossing and joining, breaking and rejoining again. You are not purely sapiens. You are a mosaic, a patchwork of kin, and in that patchwork all who came before are remembered. You sit by fire one night, watching sparks rise into sky. Around you, sapiens sing, their voices layered, rhythmic, filled with joy. They do not know that their blood carries more than their own song. It carries choruses of Neanderthals, Denisovans, others unnamed. Each note is richer because of those voices, though unspoken, though silent. You close your eyes and hear them faintly. The deep tones of Neanderthals, the steady hum of Denisovans, the whispers of naledi, not lost, never lost. You walk through forests where children climb trees with ease, their fingers strong, their shoulders agile. You wonder if some trace of naledi lingers there, though no DNA has yet revealed it. You walk through plains where hunters run for hours, their legs tireless, their lungs steady. You wonder if erectus still lives in that endurance, in the body's memory of long journeys. You pause at a river, water reflecting stars. You scoop it in your hands, drink. The water cools your throat, fills your belly. In it too are traces of the past, molecules that have passed through countless bodies, through rain, through soil, through veins. Nothing vanishes entirely, everything leaves its mark. So too with the forgotten humans. Their blood flows still, diluted, altered, but present. One night you dream with them. You see Neanderthal fires glowing in caves, Denisovan bracelets gleaming in torchlight, floresiensis laughter ringing in jungle, Nelly bones resting in dark. They drift around you not as ghosts but as kin. They do not speak. They do not need to. Their presence is enough. You wake, and the dream lingers, etched into you like pigment on stone. You walk with sapiens across continents, their numbers swelling, their fires bright. They do not know they carry others within. They think themselves alone, singular, but you know better. You feel it in your pulse, in the rhythm of your heart. Each beat is many, not one. Each breath is collective. Each step is shared. The night deepens. The fire burns low. You lie down among sapiens, the warmth of their bodies against yours, their breath steady. You close your eyes, hearing in that breath the echoes of all humanity. The memory is not in storybooks, not in monuments, but in your blood, quiet, constant, enduring. You sleep, knowing that you are never alone. You are multitudes, carried forward, remembered in silence. The memory of forgotten kin hums in your veins, as steady as your heartbeat, as endless as the stars. The silence of the others lingers, heavy yet tender, and into that hush you walk with only one fire left burning, your own. The world that once held many kinds of human now holds only Homo sapiens. All the others, Neanderthals, Denisovans, hobbits, naledi, have faded into absence. Their caves are empty, their hearths gone cold, their songs forgotten, and what remains is you. You stand at the edge of a plain, wind brushing tall grass, sky vast above. Children chase each other in play, their laughter ringing sharp. Adults tend fire, sharpen tools, stitch hides, share food. Their faces glow in flame, eyes bright, hands deft. These are your people, your kind, the last branch of a once braided tree. You watch them, and you realize they are singular, but their singularity is fragile. The earth is wide, but dangers still press close. Storms rise sudden, floods sweep camps away, droughts starve valleys, predators stalk in silence. A small tribe, a single band, one sickness, one famine, how easily it could end. Humanity is one kind now, but it is not invincible. Its survival is thin as smoke, trembling as flame. You walk with them across deserts, the sun scorching overhead, the ground shimmering with heat. Lips crack, skin burns, thirst gnaws. They carry gourds of water, rationed carefully, shared saringly, At night they huddle under stars, waiting for the cool, waiting for morning, waiting for rain. One mistake, one misstep, and the fire could end. You follow them into mountains, air sharp, thin, each breath a struggle. They climb slowly, carrying children, carrying embers, carrying hope. The wind cuts, snow blinds, cliffs loom, yet they press on, placing one foot before the other, not knowing if safety lies ahead. Each step is a gamble, each camp a prayer. You drift with them into forests dark and humid, filled with cries of unseen creatures. The air drips with moisture, roots twist like traps, insects swarm thick. They light torches, smoke rising, flames warding off the dark. They forage for fruit, fish rivers for silver flash, trap animals with snares. But the forest gives and takes as it pleases. The singular fire of sapiens could vanish here too, swallowed by green, and yet it does not. Over and over sapiens survive. Their tools sharpen, their shelters strengthen, their fires grow brighter. They speak, and words take root, shaping memory, shaping thought. They paint, they carve, they sing, they tell each other who they are, who they were, who they might be. Culture becomes armor, story becomes shelter, imagination becomes weapon. You sit among them as they tell tales by fire. Their voices weave images of ancestors, of animals, of spirits in wind and water. Children lean forward, eyes wide, captivated. The stories are not only entertainment, they are maps of meaning, guides through danger, lessons of survival. Through story, sapiens endure, but even as their fire spreads, fragility clings. You realize how easily history might have bent another way. If Neanderthals had been more numerous, if Denisovans had held their mountains stronger, if hobbits had weathered storms, if naledi had persisted in caves, perhaps sapiens would not have stood alone. Perhaps the world would still be braided, many kinds of human living side by side. Instead, it is you. You walk further into the ages, watching sapiens multiply, spread across continents, fill valleys, climb mountains, sail seas. Their numbers swell, their fires spread, their tools refine. They begin to carve the world itself into shape. And yet you feel the thinness of it, the precariousness. To be alone is to be strong, but also to be vulnerable. There is no other now, no cousin to share the burden, no kin to carry the fire if yours falters. The singularity of sapiens is fragile, but it is also profound. You are the last voice of a chorus once wide. You carry in yourself the memory of all, the inheritance of many, the silence of countless fires. You are alone, yet never entirely. Their blood hums in yours, their endurance shapes your steps, their dreams echo in your imagination. You sit one night on a cliff above the ocean. The fire at your side glows steady, the stars above endless. Waves crash below, steady as breath. Around you sapiens sleep, their bodies warm, their faces calm. You stare into flames and feel the weight of being the last, both gift and burden. The flame is yours to keep alive. The story is yours to carry forward. The silence of others makes your voice louder, but also more fragile. The horizon glows faint with dawn. The fire still burns. Children stir, adults rise, voices hum. The singularity of sapiens remains, fragile but alive, and so you walk onward with them, carrying the weight of all who came before. The last branch of a tree vast and tangled. You walk knowing that you are both alone and many, both singular and collective. The day brightens. The world hums with life. You step into it with the fragile singularity of us, knowing it is enough, for now. The fire of the story sinks low now, its embers glowing soft, its smoke drifting upward like memory into night. You have walked with many Australopithecus in the grasses, habilis shaping the first flakes, erectus carrying fire across continents, Denisovans in the mountains, Neanderthals in the ice, hobbits in the jungle, naledi in the caves. You have seen their tools, their art, their hunts, their hearths, and you have felt their silence, their fading, their traces within your own blood. Now the path grows quiet, the footsteps fade, the caves close behind you, their walls holding secrets you will never fully know. The plains stretch empty, the forests hush, the mountains dissolve into shadow. Only the stars remain, patient above, carrying the same light they once saw, the same light you see now. You breathe, slow and steady. You let the weight of the journey ease from your shoulders. You let your thoughts soften, like ash cooling after flame. The forgotten kin are not gone. They rest within you, their story woven into yours, their fire flickering still in your breath. You carry them simply by being here, alive, awake or drifting now towards sleep. You do not need to hold the whole story. You do not need to remember every step, every name, every fire. It will wait for you, patient as stone, if you wish to return. For now, you may let it go, let it blur, let it fade into dream. The world is quiet, the past is quiet, and you too may be quiet. Close your eyes, let the silence wrap you, let the breath steady, let sleep come. Good night, sweet dreams.